Hello, good people of YouTube. Welcome to episode 36 of What Makes This Song Special. Happy New Year to you all. Happy 2023. I apologise, it's been a couple of weeks since my last episode. Took a wee bit of time off over Christmas and New Year to eat far too much, drink far too much, and not do as much work. So it's been lovely, but nice to be back doing another song. For those of you who've tuned in before, you'll know that the format is that I pick a song every week. We talk about what makes that song special to me. It'll be a song that's special to me in some way, for some reason, and I tell you the reason in a little story. I'll then talk a little bit about the singer and the song, and then I will follow up with a part 2 where you can watch me do my own version of the song. Today's song is Vienna by Billy Joel, one of my favourite songs ever, of all time. Absolutely amazing. I'll tell you why, for a few reasons. This week's episode's I'm going to be between Scotland and Germany in today's episode. I've been in Germany a couple of times over the last few weeks in the episodes. I thought I'd wear my Germany football top today. I love this Germany away top. Although the song is called Vienna, which is of course in Austria, so that's a bit confusing for anybody. I hope that doesn't offend any Austrian watchers. A wee bit of neighbourly rivalry, I'm sure, between Austria and Germany, but not too far away, and I wasn't too far away from Austria at parts of the story, so we'll jump in. For me, why is the song special? Well, January 2005, the few months leading up to this had seen me move from working as a chef in a kitchen in a country club. I spent a few months working for my mate Rick as a landscape gardener, and then I started another chef job in a different health club. This is the life of an artist, isn't it? I suppose when you're younger, you work jobs to pay the bills whilst you dream of doing something that really appeals to you more than the thing you're doing. Something big that makes you a famous author or an actor, or in my case, a famous singer-songwriter. Not that ever happened, but hospitality's full of people sort of passing through, dreaming of turning their passion into or their hobby into, a full-time career. And that's not to say that nobody wants to work in hospitality. Of course, there are lots of phenomenal staff in hospitality in that industry, but the part-time ones tend to be artists, students, people, passing through wanting to do something else with their lives. Anyway, I'd learned to drive, got my first car, a little Citroen C2, and I started an Open University course. And for those of you who don't know what Open University is, basically it's like doing a degree from your house. So you get work through every month. You have to complete assessments and essays on your computer, and then submit all of your work at the end of that month. It requires a ridiculous amount of discipline, something that I struggled with. It requires a lot of organisational skills, something that I didn't really have at the time. I've got better as I've got older. And I was balancing the uni course, a new job where I'd quickly become head chef. For some reason, people above me quit, and then all of a sudden I was head chef. I wasn't ready to be head chef. It was far too stressful. A lot of work. I was trying to still continue with my singer-songwriter projects, recordings, gigging as a solo artist, doing loads of exercise. I mean, literally in the gym every day. So life was mental. It was absolutely crazy, really busy. You get the picture. Now, from as far back as I can remember, that sounds like the start of Goodfellas. That's the first line in Goodfellas, in case anybody's not seen Goodfellas, that's what that reference was. But anyway, from as far back as I can remember, I've always been somebody who wrote to-do lists. I always come up with ideas that I was immediately convinced would lead me to some sort of success or recognition. So anytime I've ever had any downtime in my life, which hasn't really been often, I've always forced myself to fill that time with something productive. I always felt a need to be productive at all times, which, if you read a motivational book or a self-help book, you'll always be told in these books that that's a very admirable and fruitful way to live your life. But I was quickly realising that, that wasn't really all it was cut out to be. I was constantly stressed, unable to relax, convinced that if I stopped for a moment to take any time out, that I would miss out on something that was just about to appear on the horizon. In hindsight, that attitude's been probably the making of me, and also a curse. You know, and a few years after this story, I would become ill with Lyme disease. I've spoken about that in another episode. I'm not going to dwell on that just now. It would completely change my life. And I genuinely believe that a lot of that came from my inability to know when to stop, when to rest. Years of meditation, Eastern philosophy, long before it became mainstream, may I add, and various other methods helped temporarily slow me down, but I've always been a bit of a volcano when it comes to achieving things. It just consumes me. So even this channel has become a bit of an obsession. I have to do this every week, you know. So anyway, this is relevant to the story and the song, I promise. I'm babbling now. Anyway, I'm working away too many hours, exercising like a professional athlete for no reason whatsoever other than aesthetics. And I'm burning the candle at both ends. Ryanair at this point, I don't know if any non-Europeans listening or watching will know who Ryanair are basically a sort of budget airline based in Ireland, and they kind of popped. I don't know when they've probably been about for a long time, but anyway, around about this time they started doing ridiculously cheap flights. I mean, they'd become a saviour to people who wanted to travel lots but couldn't afford £1,000 flights to do so. And we'd had some incredibly amazing city breaks to various European destinations for literally pennies. I mean, sometimes you get a penny flight and you just have to pay, you know, the tax, the airport tax or whatever on that flight. So incredible, really good. They get a bit of a slagging at times, Ryanair, but you know, they've allowed me to go on many holidays over the years, so really good. And one afternoon, my mum phoned me up and she says, I found flights to Germany for, I can't remember how much, a few pounds for return flights. And now I mentioned before how there was a little village in Germany that we'd been back and forward to when I was a kid, and had been a really important place for me and my family growing up. You can watch the November Rain episode, which was about 3 or 4 episodes ago. If you fancy learning about the little town of Mermut, very interesting wee episode. But yeah, I hadn't been for a few years at this point because Lynn's, my wife, now wife, then girlfriend, and I had been sort of flying to Italy in the summer holidays and travelling around different cities, and I hadn't been doing the drive with my parents to Italy and stopping off in Germany halfway for many years by this point. So I probably at this point hadn't been to Germany for a good few years, and I'd missed it. And these flights that my mum and dad had found would take us to Frankfurt Hahn Airport, which was only about half an hour away from the little town of Mermut that I mentioned. So the then girlfriends, now wives of mine and my brothers, were invited but couldn't make it because they were at uni. So me, my mum, my dad, my 2 brothers travelled out to Germany, just like we had so many times when I was a kid, just the 5 of us, like we've had when we were younger. And it was incredible. It was a great holiday. I think we went for 5 days or whatever it was, just after Christmas, in between Christmas and New Year. And it was just a very peaceful holiday. There was nothing to do but go for walks and eat. And it was actually thick snow when we were there. So me and my brothers bought some sledges and we went sledging down these huge steep hills that led into the woods, into the forests, as they say in other parts of the world. I don't know if woods is something we say in Britain for forest. It was such a fantastic few days. It became this little January tradition for a few years. And the flights, we just managed to keep getting these cheap flights every year and going away for a few days. And it became this little getaway to Germany just for me, my brothers, and my parents. It was really nice just to get back to that kind of family, a family few days away. And for me, it was like just a possibility for me to just switch off and do nothing for a few days, which was something that I just never got the chance to do. And this was before kids. I mean, when kids came along, my God, life got even more crazy. But this was like pre-kids, and I still wasn't really able to get any kind of relaxation time. So anyway, we would go, have fun, hope for snow, eat lots of German food, drink beer, have a great time. And before I left for that holiday, I'd got my friend Paul Healy a job working with me in the kitchen, and he'd been playing Billy Joel albums on repeat And for some strange reason, I don't know why, but I'd always seen Billy Joel as a sort of poor man's Elton John. I feel bad saying that now, but I did. And me and another friend of mine, Pat, we would always have these ridiculous arguments about who was better, Billy Joel or Elton John. The debates would go on for hours and days. Now, for me, if you're asking, Elton is still the greater of the two, I think. Just there's reasons why I believe that, but that's not to say that there's much in it. And I think, Billy's just a phenomenon, as we'll go on to in a minute. But I have to admit, the more I listened to Billy Joel's music, the more I realised how incredible this guy was. His melodies, his lyrics, his piano playing, his voice. He became like an idol, a hero, an inspiration. You get the point. He became one of my favourite artists. And I was being turned. Just before I left for the holiday. Paul had been listening to these, so as I say, in the kitchen, we'd be playing these songs, and I was like, oh God, that's quite good actually. Oh God, that's a really good song. Didn't really want to admit to him. And as I was leaving, I remember we were working Christmas Eve, and then we were going to be off for a few days. And on Christmas Eve, as we were finishing up and saying Merry Christmas, Paul slips these Billy Joel greatest hits albums into my hands, and he says, take these to Germany. And he had this excited look on his face, like he knew that he just sold me, tickets to the Billy train ride that I was never going to be able to get off. And there were kind of greatest hits discs like 1 and 2. I think the final disc had like a storytellers thing on it where he would talk about the meaning of the song and then play like a live version. Really cool. I love stuff like that. And one day on the holiday, we're driving up from Sangor, which is this little town on the Rhine with a castle and really very Germanic place, amazing, but we've been to lots of times when I was a kid, and we were driving back up this windy road back up from the Rhine, and I'm listening, I'm in the back of the car, I've got my headphones on, and on comes Vienna, and before it plays, Billy tells the story of what it means. The song is about his dad moving to Austria, not that far from, I suppose we were in the car at that moment, I'm a couple of hours away, to Austria at that point, and I'd actually been studying Austria in my university course because we were talking about the advent of Impressionism and all these things that changed classical music, and I won't bore you with that stuff just now, but it's pretty interesting stuff, pretty cool. And so I was really interested in just the song title in general, and he starts talking about how his dad moved to Austria, how it was about the city and the people there had made him realise that he had his whole life to figure stuff out and get things done. And I remember listening to every word he said and then every lyric in the song as he sang it, and I heard the song for the first time. And I could just feel the tears just rolling down my face, rolling down my cheeks, It was the song was this big hug. It was like a big warm embrace that was saying, it's going to be all right. You're good enough. Stop trying so hard, It became this song that spoke to me. It was like it was written for me, that song. I've always felt that, I probably lots of people feel that, but that song, God, if I could put my own sort of obsession with success, or not even success, but my own obsession with being productive constantly, if I was to write a song to myself, I don't think I could do a better job than write the lyrics, and they just speak to me in that song, and it became a song that has spoken to me many times over the years. It was like it was, as I say, written for me. I'd always been desperate to do everything now, and this song was saying, you'll always have a purpose, you've got your whole life to do this stuff, chill out, relax. Unfortunately, years later, I still haven't managed to take Billy's advice. God knows I've tried so many times. But those words soothe me every time I hear the song, because for a few minutes while I'm listening to the song, I really believe that I can change, I can relax, I can stop worrying, I can stop trying so hard. So the message is it's a fantastic message, and it's an amazing song. It starts with this little Eastern European sounding piano riff that sounds like it's straight out of Austria or somewhere like that. It's got a kind of more classical or impressionist sort of vibe in the introduction, and then this pop song just flows in from nowhere and into this really amazing singer-songwriter type ballad, where the lyrics, for me, the lyrics steal the show, and that really says something considering the melody and the chord structure of this song is also a 10 out of 10, you know. It's just the perfect song, such a good song. So yeah, there's the song. Yeah, you hear me do my version of the song. That's where I was when I first heard it. That's why it's special to me. Billy Joel, we'll talk very quickly about Billy Joel's voice. Billy Joel as a singer, I think he's hugely underrated. I think he's a real vocal chameleon of sorts. He kind of sounds different in each song. On the early stuff, he sounded like Paul McCartney. On some songs, to be fair, and other songs, he sounded like Bob Dylan. You could hear his influences shining through into his own sound, and then he found his own voice, his own character eventually, and now he just sounds like Billy Joel. But in the early stuff, you can definitely hear, like there's an album called Cold Spring Harbor, which is kind of almost like even before his first official album, and he just sounds like Paul McCartney and Bob Dylan, depending on what register he's in, what range he's in. It's incredible. He's got his own persona now. He just tells stories with his voice that make you stop what you're doing and listen. You know, the guy's got a great range, great tone, and the delivery of his lyrics is, maybe second to none. So just a phenomenal voice, phenomenal singer-songwriter. Yeah, I'll stop there before I just go on and on and on about how great he is. So there's today's story. Not a majorly exciting wee story, but my little story as to why the song's special to me. As I said, I was just in a place in my life where just everything was too much. It was too busy. I was trying to achieve a million different things at once, doing far too much. And Billy came along in that moment where I'd had a couple of days to relax. And he said, Vienna waits for you. So there's my story. I will be singing Vienna for you any second if you click on part 2. As always, thank you so much. I just wanted to say again thank you to everybody who subscribed and listened and shared the videos in 2022. I'm going to try my very best to do a video a week again in 2023, so hopefully we'll have lots of different songs up here in a year's time. But yeah, thank you very much. Hopefully I'll see you again next week. Until then, take care. Thank you.